welcome to part 3 of our series on thinking about starting your own law firm. So part 1, we talked about mindset. In part 2, we talked about fear and how to distinguish between legitimate risk and amplified hesitation or avoidance. Most lawyers don't feel overwhelmed because they lack intelligence. They feel overwhelmed because they're trying to solve everything at once. If you've been thinking about starting your own firm, but your brain feels scattered, this is likely why. So when lawyers start thinking about going solo, they often create a mental list that looks something like incorporation, bank accounts, trust account setup, website, practice management software, branding, marketing, pricing, business cards, office space, all at once. Yes, those are all important and it feels productive, but it could be a little bit premature because you're trying to build infrastructure without clarity on the structure, because you're trying to solve all your problems on day one. You don't build a house before you decide how many floors it has, right? So ideally, before anything else, you need clarity on practice focus, revenue expectations, desired lifestyle, and a bit of a long-term vision, and your exit planning is something to think about too. So let me give you something else to think about. Are you building a lean remote lifestyle firm, a high revenue boutique practice, a multi-lawyer future firm, or a transitioning solo while you're planning growth? Each of those require a different plan, different overhead, different staffing, different billing discipline, different tolerance for risk. And this is where most lawyers will go wrong. They overbuild early, they buy too much tech, they lease too much space, they overcomplicate systems, they spend money reacting instead of designing. And then they spend years fixing what they built too quickly. And structure precedes logistics. It has to, always. When we grew that firm that I managed, revenue quadrupled over 4 years, not because of intensity, because of clarity, targets, clear focus, clear positioning. So I'm going to talk about a couple of different things here. So first, let's talk about the financial foundation. This is the part most lawyers avoid. It's the part that reduces fear the fastest. But you need to answer 5 questions before anything else. What is your revenue replacement target? What is your minimum viable monthly income? What is your realistic ramp-up period? What are your fixed costs? How much runway do you have? So let me give you an example and we'll break this down practically. Let's say your current income is $180,000 a year. That's about $15,000 per month gross. That doesn't mean your firm needs to generate $15,000 per month. It needs to generate more because now you're covering software, insurance, accounting, trust compliance, marketing, taxes, overhead. So maybe your real number is, say, $20,000. Now let's reverse engineer it. If your average case value is, say, $4,000, that means you need roughly 6 to 7 completed matters per month. How many inquiries does that require, or prospects? If you convert 50% of your consults and 60% of inquiries book consults, what does your pipeline need to look like? When you reduce fear to math, it becomes a little bit more manageable. When it stays abstract, it becomes anxiety. So when we were building the firm from the beginning, the turning point was not growth. It was discipline. We did financial reviews every other week. We had a clear billing rhythm and cadence. Our collections were tracked. Our cash flow was monitored. The revenue didn't grow because we hoped for it. It grew because we measured it and was very consistent on it. So now let's talk a little bit about operations, my favorite, after finance. This is where chaos either begins or gets prevented. You need to decide things like, how does a client find you? What happens when they contact you? Who answers those inquiries? How do you qualify them and do conflict checks? When do you quote? When do you invoice? When do you follow up with the client? Where does that file live? How do you name those files for ease so people can find them? What's your weekly file review rhythm? These sound basic. Most early stage firm owners operate very reactively. Emails everywhere, documents saved inconsistently, invoices sent irregularly, collections avoided, and those things will create stress. Not the law part of it, but the inconsistency. And these may sound small, but small operational leaks create larger stress. When we shift from reacting to building systems, growth will stabilize. Not because we worked harder, because you built your business smarter. Before you launch, you need a simple but defined workflow. Intake, engagement, work, billing, review. You don't need complexity. Now, you also need to answer timing honestly with regards to where you are right now. Are you leaving your current position immediately? Are you transitioning gradually? Are you building a runway first? Are you waiting for a specific milestone? Those are all strategic decisions you need to think about. If you have 6 months of runway, your approach differs from someone with 3 months. If you already have clients that'll follow you, your risk profile is different. Risk doesn't disappear, it just becomes a little bit more structured. Now let's talk about your identity. A little bit we talked about in the first part. This is the part most lawyers will underestimate. You're not just launching a firm, you are becoming a CEO. That means you got to review your numbers. You have to make pricing decisions confidently. You have to enforce payment policies. You got to say no to clients that don't fit what you want. You got to invest in systems early. If you don't step into that identity early, your firm is going to feel heavy and you're going to feel like you are doing everything. Sure, in the beginning, you may not be able to hire somebody, but you can still have those systems set up so that when you do, it's an easy transition. Ownership is not about your ego. It's about responsibility and tolerating that. Like I said before, you don't need to know everything, but you do need to decide to lead. So for now, for some of you, the conversation that we've had so far is enough. You can take the structure we've talked about, map it out, build independently. That is not everybody. Like I've always said, you went to law school to learn how to be a lawyer. You don't necessarily know how to run a business, and that's okay. But if you've been watching these series and thinking, I don't want to spend my first 3 years fixing all these mistakes, this is exactly why I've created a program called the Structured Firm Blueprint. It's an 8-week cohort for lawyers who are committed to starting their own firm, but want to build it profitably from day one. It's not about rushing to incorporate or brand or improvising. It's about designing your revenue model, your financial runway, and your operational systems before you launch, or maybe while you're just starting to launch. Your firm will be structured. So over 8 weeks, we design your revenue and runway strategy, your profit and pricing architecture, your risk and transition plan. We'll talk about tech stack decisions, intake and billing systems, workflow structure, and of course, having a CEO level financial discipline with a clear launch sequence for your firm. You'll leave with a complete operational blueprint, not just guesswork or trial and error. If you're serious about building your firm properly, this is the path. Now, if you're still like, I need clarity before committing, I am also offering private one-to-one session designed to assess your readiness, review your numbers, and outline what your next steps should look like. If that feels more aligned, just send me a message and I'll share all those details with you. If either of these options fit for you, either way, don't stay in an indecision. Most lawyers launch first and fix later. You have the opportunity to design first and launch with structure. Like I said, if this resonates with you, send me a message. Tell me where you are in the process, and we can determine the right next steps for you. So I want to thank you so much for being part of my little 3-part series. I really hope it helped you to think more strategically about building your own firm. And if you decide you want some more support, I am here for you. Once again, I hope you find these sessions useful, and I look forward to talking to you soon. And like I said, I am here for anything that you need. Have a great day. We'll talk soon.